Hola, hola amigos y bienvenidos de nuevo a otro video. Hoy vamos a hablar sobre los verbos regulares, or regular verbs, and specifically our AR verbs. So here we go. Alright, so it's important to know that all Spanish verbs belong to one of three classifications called conjugations, depending on the ending of the infinitive. Okay? And we're going to define this here in just a moment. But what's really important to understand is that all infinitives end either in AR, ER, or IR. Okay? So each conjugation has its own set of endings that are added to the stem of the verb. Okay, lots of new vocab that's coming out of here, but we're about to go over it. It'll make sense here soon. Okay, so as we mentioned, there are two components that make up a verb, and the first of which is our verb stem plus the infinitive ending will equal our infinitive verb. Okay, so here is what that kind of looks like. Hopefully you've had a chance to go through our Quizlet and get familiar with some of our new words. You'll notice that every single one of them is a verb, meaning that they are action words, things that people do. And we know from our work with estar and ser, these two verbs, they have conjugations, meaning that I can't write yo estás. No, there's just no way, because our verbs have to match, right? Our subject. And since we know that estás does not match my subject yo, we can improve it by adding what we know does, which is estoy. So what we're seeing here today are more verbs and how we conjugate them to match those subjects to infinitely expand our knowledge and ability to speak and understand this language. Okay, so back to Quizlet here, right? On a Quizlet, you have seen these three words: cantar, comer, y vivir. These are verbs and they are in the infinitive form. Remember, the infinitive form is built by adding two components. Personally, I think it's easier to start with the infinitive ending. The infinitive ending right here will always be the last two letters of the verb. So for cantar, for example, we have the AR verb ending, making it an AR verb. For comer, we have the ER infinitive ending, making it an ER verb. And finalmente, para vivir, tenemos IR or IR, making it an IR verb. Okay, so if we were to look at cantar, if we were to eliminate that infinitive ending, what remains left over, the cant, part of it in front of, is our stem. Okay, so we see com here for comer, and we see viv here for vivir. If we add the stem and the infinitive ending, we get our infinitive verb in total, which is cantar. Same thing for com plus equals comer. Same thing for viv plus ir equals vivir. Okay, so now that we have those components down, let's talk about what being a regular verb means. So verbs that are considered regular are those that have no change in the stem when the verb is conjugated, okay? They're the easiest ones to work with, so I think you all will enjoy this. All right, moving on. So, use of the present tense. This is where we're going to begin our verb journey, talking about here and now. So the present tense is used in English to express the simple present of, for example, I sing. And the English present progressive, the current, I am singing. So here we see a sentence. We have, ella canta una canción triste. This sentence translates to, she sings a sad song. Now notice we had to swap those in order to make sense in English. Canción triste, song, sad. In English, we know it as sad song. So we know this here. But depending on the context of the conversation, it could mean this present progressive tense of she is singing a sad song now. The difference between the two is really minor, and I don't think we should get too hung up on it because essentially it's expressing the same thing here. So here we go. All right, so the present tense can be used to express a future event if an adverbial expression of the future time is included. All right, and I get it. Like, this is a whole lot of words to just basically say, are you going to include a word like later, tomorrow, okay, Thursday, anything that indicates the future, essentially. So if I wanted to say that she'll sing with you tomorrow, giving that future kind of sound to this present tense, all I would need to do is add mañana, that expression of future time. So ella canta con usted mañana, or she's singing with you tomorrow. She'll sing with you tomorrow. Okay? And we should be used to this just like our verb or word I. To make a sentence negative, we simply put the word no directly before the verb, just like we would say no hay. So here we go. We have the sentence, yo canto en el baño, or I sing in the bathroom, versus yo no canto en el autobús. I don't sing on the bus. All right, let's keep going. So just to reiterate, again, we have these portions of our verb. So we're gonna hop to this in just a moment, but let's make sure that we understand the portions that we have within this verb cantar. Cantar means to sing, and the verb, when written out in its entirety, like this, cantar, this is my infinitive form right here. Okay, but I do need to remember that my infinitive is made up of those two parts. First, let's look at our infinitive ending here, the AR, as it is an AR verb, meaning that my verb stem is this cant portion there. So cant is my stem and AR is my verb ending. Okay, so now that we got that down, let's head back up here to that top portion. It says to conjugate a regular AR verb in the present tense. What we're going to do is drop the infinitive ending. So what we have in blue there, that AR, and instead we're going to add some endings to it, okay, to the stem. Those endings are as follows. We have O, as, a, amos, ais, and an to the stem. All right, so let's take a look and see what that looks like in an actual verb chart. Okay, so here we are. We have this verb, cantar. Of course, it means to sing. We know that AR is my infinitive ending, and anything left over is considered my stem, such as cant. And it's very important to remember that as cantar is a regular verb, this means there is no stem change. Okay, so no change in the stem when conjugating. All right, so this is lucky. This means that every single subject pronoun, yo, tú, él, and so on and so forth, they are all going to have the same stem. So as we're learning how to conjugate, it might be a good method for you to simply plug in the stem for each subject pronoun first. So I know my stem is cant, So I could literally go through here and write in cant, 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 all the way through. All right, and that means we're halfway done, right? Notice as well that these subject pronouns here on the side, my yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, and ustedes, are the exact same ones that we learned in our estar and ser chart and in the exact same positions. The good news is this will never change. No matter how advanced you get in Spanish, charts like this are all you know. So, in my book, we're already more than halfway there for understanding how to work with these new verbs. Okay, so remember, we wrote down those stems, and in the previous slide, they mentioned how we needed to include a new conjugated ending. And those were as follows. The o, as, a, amos, ais, and an. Right. So it goes just in order as we read them. Now for me personally, I like to put things to a little melody. I like to see a pattern or kind of feel it a little bit. So there's a little ditty that I sing to myself and have for years in order to remember my verb endings in the proper order. And it's just this. It's simply o, as, a, amos, ais, an. Okay? So we can do it together again here, right? We have o, as, a, amos, ais, an. Right. So if you are able to remember this little melody, it will not only help you with this chart, but it'll help you with future charts too. I would really practice singing that there, all right? O, as, a, amos, ais, an. For every single AR verb that we encounter, these will be the endings. How lucky. Okay, so let's continue. Good job. All right, so looking at forming questions. We've done a little bit of work with this already, so it's not completely new. But we should note that questions are formed by inverting the subject and the verb. Okay, big word for switch. That's it. So in this case, the translation of the Spanish present tense includes the English helping verb do. Okay, and this is super important to know. In Spanish, there is no translation for the helping verb do. All right. In Spanish, should add that beginning there. In Spanish, there is no translation for the helping verb do. Notice helping. This isn't of I do yoga or I do Pilates. You know, it's not this form of doing. This is that do you sing on Sundays, essentially? Do you know the answer? This is the English helping verb, and we never really think about it because it's our first language, but English is kind of unique in this helping verb do. A lot of languages do not translate the same way that we do. Okay, so when you see a question that's asking, you know, do you sing on Sundays, you're not going to be able to translate this verb do, but what you will be able to translate is this verb you sing. Okay, and this is straight what we go to. All right, so here we go. We have this question, do you sing on Sundays? And doing what we do best, we know to conjugate, or rather, we know our subject in this sentence is, in fact, you. Okay, and my verb here is sing. So that tells me I need to choose my verb to sing and translate it for you. And if we remember from our chart, this looked like cantas, right? Right here. Cantas. You sing. Now remember, in the question, we invert or switch the subject, which I will denote here, and the verb, which we have here. So we have cantas tú los domingos? Do you sing on Sundays? Okay? Now, it does tell us too that questions can also be indicated by that rising intonation without a change to word order. Tú cantas los domingos, I see here down below. But I would really stress that for good practice, this is the method that we should be sticking to. Okay, that way there's no confusion as to whether it was a statement or whether it was a question. Also, in writing, you will always see this example right here as the proper example. Okay, so let's do one of our own. Let's see. If we were to use the same verb cantar, we're getting pretty familiar with it. Let's ask, does he sing well? Does he sing well? All right, so this is my question. Does he sing well? Okay. So again, I see this helping verb, does, and of course it doesn't translate. So instead, we're going to go with our subject, which is he, and our verb, which is sing. So my conjugation for he sings. He is my third person, and I know that my verb endings are, remember, o, as, a. A is what matches him. So I'm going to begin, as always, with my upside down question mark, and I'm going to go straight into that verb. Now, my verb stem is cant, and then my verb ending that I'm going to include is a, o, as, a. So there we go. We have canta, and then my subject, which is he. So canta él, and then we'll finish out the rest of my sentence with well, my adjective, which is bien. Canta él bien. Does he sing well? I hope that makes sense. It's a little funny at first, but I promise, with more practice, you'll be doing this like a pro in no time. Okay, so here we go. Just a slight quick note about a word about pronunciation. It is important, we know, to pronounce Spanish precisely. We know that all words that end in vowels a, e, I, o, or u, or the consonants n or s, have their natural stress on the second to last or the penultimate syllable. Here's your English vocab word for the day, penultimate, literally meaning second to last. So make sure you pronounce the verbs this way. All right, so notice what I have underlined here. This is where we put our emphasis, okay? You'll naturally hear this and get in the habit of this as we continue. So the first one we pronounce as yo canto, tú cantas, él canta, nosotros cantamos y ellos cantan. Notice how that stress is where those underlines are. If a word does carry an accent mark, you will stress that syllable. So for vosotros, for example, it wouldn't be cantáis. We see the accent instead, so we know that it's vosotros cantáis. That stress is there on the end. All right, my friends, I think we have covered it all today. I hope that you all are able to follow along. Remember, you can watch this video as often as you need. However, if you do have questions and need some help, you know I'm always here too. So let me know. Good luck, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Adiós, mis amigos. Ciao.